People don't like the word when I say carry people's bag. Carry people's bag. I carry somebody's bag to enter certain meetings. That bag I carried was what gave me access to that meeting. How many party agent role have you played? Do you also need to carry your hand to the party agent? How many campaign effort have you made for someone? Gradually, you start to go into the system. You hadn't contributed. You hadn't even done a tweet, an X message to support a candidate. Suddenly, you want to be the one that should be celebrated.
We'll get to destination, but if you move alone, the journey will be turbulent and
you see things, you can't even address it so that you don't offend that person that brought you to that seat. And when they are being carried to that particular seat, they start telling them, this percentage is my own. So at the end of the day, the person cannot function well because you want to settle the person, you want to settle Nigeria, you want to settle yourself.
For you as an individual, what you say, that's the pragmatic answer. Get someone, get you in there, follow the stage jump, you ask how high. You understand? But if you want for what to do for the nation, then it's better you disrupt your way and go in there. And this disruption is not the candidate that is going to do it. If you use your personal money, it's no longer politics. It's no longer election, it's business.
I mean, as a politician, people have come to me and said, this is my vote, as they are buying my vote. But half the time, you know, it's easier when they carry your hand there. And let me tell you the truth. The guy that's holding your hand has a mission. We have seen now the same fixed ticket did not make the price stop better.
We are putting on social media, but in the field, in community where we're going to be ready, I'm not so sure if we are ready. In terms of being, as someone has said, being a member of a political party, not because we want to run for election, but we are conscious and sure of the fact that as a member of a political party, there are a lot of things we need to do.
what is the leader?
There's no leader. If they will tell you that women have been put in certain position and the way they have behaved. For example, see Eziani was made a minister and look at all the corruption around her. So what if they put another? I always say to them, for everyone Eziani, there are thousands of the Sukis. If the Suki had not stopped the man from running for office or occupying an office, the Eziani should not stop a woman from running for office or occupying an office. So we are human beings. Because it's like, having twins. Identical twins, you see them fighting against each other. But when they want to face a third party, they become a formidable force. That's how they work. And for that voice, in terms of finding the level of submission or not submission, you are submitting. You've not gotten anywhere. It's not better you have your voice and fight to get to a place.
In regards to the special seat bill, take that and also take the election. It's open for you.
Because indeed, politics affects all our lives. If you have the competence, character, capacity to run for office, run for office. 2, campaign for people who have competence, character, capacity, running for office. If you can run for office. 3, help them to raise money. We must put our money where our votes are. And 4, demand from those who have been voted into office.
Hello, this is Unite Naija 2025, the youth engagement online show on Click Naija online channel, where we discuss burning issues of national and social concern and to get the voices of youth to be heard on the national stage. Click Naija is Radio Nigeria's pioneer online channel, and my name is Ehi Ohiani. I'll be your host today. This year, Unite Naija focuses on the participation of women and youth in the political space in Nigeria and the reserved seat bill in Nigeria. Are the Nigerian youth ready for what it will take for them to stand out in the 2027 elections? And will women be able to take advantage of the bill to produce meaningful results for Nigeria when the bill is passed? Youth and women participation in Nigeria politics. Is it a far cry or a work in progress? These and much more we will be finding answers to in this edition of Unite Naija. So come along with me as we join the rest of the guests ready to take on the conversation.
And right now we have guests arriving and taken to the red carpet to share their opinions on the issues at hand. And Unite Naija 2025 begins with a warm but an incisive address by the Director General of the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, Dr. Mohammed Bulama, represented by the Director of Programs, Mrs. Nsushimaki.
Congress, we not protected and responded. That is why the FRC remains committed to using its national and digital platforms to sustain this conversation, to ensure that every young Nigerian, regardless of gender, background, or geography, can see themselves as stakeholders in the Nigerian project. Present administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu under the renewed president has continued to give priority to youth development as a central strategy to economic growth, national security, and sustainable.
And now here comes the deep dive as our panelists and discussants are ready to take a go at the issues at hand. And the conversation on Unite Naija 2025 begins right away.
Political activities are gradually taking shape across Nigeria with renewed conversations around inclusion. During campaigns, promises of leadership, opportunities, and fair representation are often made to women and youth. Yet, post-election realities tell a different story. Out of 469 members in the National Assembly, only 17 are women, less than 4%. In the current federal cabinet, 7 out of 48 ministers are women, while youth representation remains minimal at both federal and state levels. Despite constituting more than half of Nigeria's population, women occupy less than 5% of elected positions, while youth accounts for about 6%. What this means is that over 60% of Nigeria's population have little or no power to influence decisions that directly affect them. Now, the proposed special seat bill for women aims to amend the Constitution to create additional seats exclusively for women in the National and State Assembly for 4 election cycles. That's roughly 16 years. As this bill sparks nationwide debate, the question remains, is Nigeria moving toward gender inclusion, or are women and youth still far from real power? I welcome you to Unite Naija 4.0, where we discuss 2027 review, women and youth participation in Nigerian politics, a far cry or a work in progress. My name is Bola Shadi Akiola, joined by Ehi Oyani to take this conversation further.
Thank you very much for that debate. So that has just set the stage for us. I'm bringing the ball to our court, finally.
To other. But I want to talk to you, Dr. Abina. You are also working on this reserved seats bill. How is it going presently, and what are the challenges?
Tremendous progress, and I don't want us to be discouraged, especially with regards to people who say that we're not helping each other. We have a lot of women who help each other. The Economics and the Oluwas are still students, and I happen to know that they did put a lot of people power. They're still very influential, yes. And I know a lot of women who help women to get this leadership. Even in the gender space, we know how we help each other. There's a lot of collaboration. There's hardly any infighting. That's to say, nevertheless, I want to encourage women to come out, to participate in politics. It is your time. It is your turn. You are capable. You need to come out now. In regards to the special seats bill, take that and also take the election. It's open for you, take it. This is the time to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
on this issue of women helping women, women not helping women, I don't know why we keep repeating it. The women have always been the ones that have helped women. When they tell you a woman doesn't help woman, what they're trying to do is to take away that one place where you have capacity, where you have power, where you have support. And the moment it's taken away, there is nothing out there. When we talk about, like the question you asked earlier about people, how do we vote? How do the men vote when they want to vote? We will quarrel our quarrel. When we finish quarrel, we will put the people that are supposed to be there. They will tell you women don't vote men because in 1991, one woman did not get a vote. Professor Sarah Jubri, right? Oh, that she was running for president and she just, but guess what? She did not pay 100 million. There are people in the last presidential election that men that paid over 100 million to buy tickets and they didn't get a single vote. Does that mean that men don't support men? Exactly. So I think what we tend to do is that we put women on the certain pedestal. You're supposed to behave in this way. We label them and then we imprison them and say to them, oh, you're supposed to behave in a certain way. And if you don't behave in this way, nothing. And then just before I round up to say, there is one example they always give. They will tell you that women have been put in certain position and the way they have behaved. For example, see Eziani. Eziani was made a minister and look at all the corruption around her. So what if they put another person? I always say to them, for everyone Eziani, there are thousands of the Sukis. If the Suki had not stopped the man from running for office or for occupying an office, the Eziani should not stop a woman from running for office or occupying an office. So we are human beings. That women can't work together. This particular situation of now requesting forcefully for representation is not something that a few women got up and decided they want to do it. I can say that I belong to that generation that has been sort of like mentored by another set of women who are now very lucky to be in their midst when they are having conversations about engaging in this particular field. We have seen women unite, especially women when we are talking about women at the forefront of, Aisha mentioned and something about a lot of organizations, civil society organizations being headed by women. You have these women coming together, for instance, and ensuring the passage of the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act. I can tell you that it was work to have that particular act passed into law. But we have women, different women from all over Nigeria with one voice and saying this is what we want. So now, if you're having a bill that can now become the law, like these seats are now reserved for women, I believe that women will unite once again as we move when we have identified the problem. Because it's like, having twins. Identical twins, you see them fighting against each other. But when they want to face a third party, they become a formidable force. That's how women work. Okay. Against Persons Prohibition Act. So women came together, but nobody is coming to stand as the person that will be at the forefront or the person to be chosen. In this scenario, you are going to need women to step back for somebody to lead. And this is where the confusion really is coming up. Because for that one, women are representing all women. They all have one interest. But you see, for this one, women are now going to have individual interest in the midst of the general interest. But this, I'm telling you this, maybe from experience at the Nigerian Bar Association, for instance, let me say from that perspective. Nigerian Bar Association has run for several years, and when you look at the hall of presidents, you will see that there was only one woman, and it was the technical reason why she became the president in that history. Now, when we now had situations where people were running for particular positions in the last election that took place, can I tell you that when the women were presented, it was a block vote from top to bottom. It was not even contested. Like they were having men contest against them, but those men, they practically didn't have any vote. Because women decided that we have been out of this for so long. Anybody that presents themselves, we will now vote for them. So let's now look at it from the perspective of, we already have some women who have managed to cross over. And I use the word crossover, I think there are 7 or 6 that are in the National Assembly, for instance. These women can actually be pace setters, whether we like it or not, because they've been there. They know how that place works.
And we have women who also can press their button at the back end. I'm saying this because I belong to a coalition like manifesto, and I know the kind of conversations that takes place in the manifesto. So these women, they don't even act like they do not know the influence that the manifesto has in Nigeria. So I believe that women can call each other, we can call ourselves together, and then we will tell ourselves this is an opportunity that we cannot pass away, and we will come together and make a decision. What do we want? What are the youths that we want to present?
And for that voice, in terms of finding the level of submission or not submission, you have been submitting. You've not gotten anywhere. It's not better you have your voice and fight to get to a place. And it is not about, for me, it's this, and I'm going to make it categorically clear. It's not about begging to be at the table. If they don't give us a place at the table, we bring our chairs. If they don't give us a chair, we carry mat and sit there. If there's no mat, we sit on the floor and we ensure that our voices are heard in this country. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
One of the things I've learned from this moment, and which is something that I do things, I don't talk about them, because that's the problem that we women have. We are brought up to, be sacrificial, do everything, don't blow your things. Women are not as loud-mouthed. And I think if you want to be in the political field, you have to be as loud-mouthed. Maybe I'll need to go and look for all the people, even people who are in state government, national assemblies, state houses of assembly, local government. There are many I can count. I can't even remember them that will not tell you the word Naija is so plain in them getting in there. They don't talk about it. Because I just do, that's what I need to do. Why this all that thing? There was something she had wanted to do that was unethical. Her contemporaries were doing it. She wanted, I said, no. I said, if you do this, it's going to smear you forever. One of the problems people don't understand is about moral justification. The reason why an Aisha Yesufu can speak and she's in the faces of a lot of people is that, please check my cupboard. If there's anything I'll do, I'll come apologize. I'll take responsibility. I'll start for myself. I tell people I hold myself to higher standards than I hold any other person. When I did my NYC in the year 2000, NYC overpaid me 3 times. I think the amount was about 5,000 or 6,000. 6,000 in the year 2000 was a big amount of money. When I was returning that money, it was a hurdle. NYC were against it. It is now I'm thinking, maybe they were doing a racket, they mistakenly now paying me. People's bank. Even the manager was fighting me. I said, no, I'm returning this money. My colleagues were fighting me. I said, I'm returning this money. And I said, I'm not sure she's done. I said, put it back into NYC's account. You understand? Today, if I have taken that money, the way my friends say, I won't start government, do you think I'll be able to speak? No. Somebody will take it out and say, Aisha, listen. Even in terms of most women don't hold their votes, they don't hold their voices. I've never seen a man that has been told that he will be divorced or driven out of the house if he votes a certain way. Or women have been told women have been told if you vote a certain way, you're leaving my house. And so effectively that woman doesn't own her own vote. It belongs, to someone else. And the irony of it all is that in the upbringing, especially in the Nigerian setting, most times the woman is brought up to be more responsible, to be the leader. She's even sometimes in charge of her siblings who are older, who are the other gender. For example, she has brothers who are older. Sometimes she's supposed to take responsibility. Why did you not say anything when you were doing it? But he's older than me. He's supposed to be the one to lead. But you know that as a girl, you're brought up to be a leader, and then when you become a woman, you're told that you can't have a voice out there, you can't say anything. So for me, I think one of the things I say all the time is that for every little voice that was planted in our head, as little girls. When you grow up, just remove it. You're enough as you are. It doesn't matter because even right now they say to you, don't you know you're a mother, don't you are a sister, look at her as a sister. No, I'm not anything, I'm just a human being. That's why I don't do labor. I don't see myself as a woman or a man or whatever. I see myself as a human being for whom there's a special space that has been created for me by God, and I will own that space unapologetically, whether you want it or you don't want it. I will be in your face. Because I'm here on this earth, I didn't come to you to do anything. And sometimes when people try to put this gender role, I'm like, no, I didn't come to this world with pots and pans. No, they get back to me, no, I didn't come with pots and pans. So why are you putting me in a particular, role to play? I will do what my strength is able to do, and I will do that the way I am able to. If you're working, if I'm a woman working on the streets, and it's lonely, I'm scared. You're probably a guy is going to walk through that same street, and you wouldn't be scared. Why? Because nobody is seeing him as a victim. The mere fact that I'm a woman just walking down the street, I'm easily seen as a victim. So when we're talking about laws and the way to protect people, protect citizens, there's an aspect that I'm going to bring in that someone who is not my gender hasn't worked that will not be able to think about it. Not because they don't want to think about it, because it's not their reality. Then I went into someone, I was having a discussion with someone, I'm like, when you're going into the restroom, and I always check, how does the door open? Does it open out or does it open in? For some people it doesn't matter, for me it does, because I'm thinking, if somebody is trying to get in, which part? Because if it's coming in, I can use my body to gauge it, but if it's going out, it's easier for the person to feel it, but it's hard things. That's what people will not think about. And so it's very important for us to have women and also have that position, what we're talking about. And when we're making decisions, I would agree that. But just before I round up to say that, I sometimes say, for the last 60-something years, we've had a particular gender lead or rule this country, and see where we are. If we're really honest with ourselves, we shouldn't be talking about that women should. We should be saying to all men, stay out of power. For the next 50 years, let women take charge and see how it will become. Thank you.
Thank you.
People get tired of Nigeria. I say I can't get tired of Nigeria. Nigeria may frustrate me left and right, but I see it as a country that has so much potential. So I want to say that even though it's a far cry, because if you're looking at the 4 people or 5 people that are in the National Assembly, I see that there is, the light at the end of the tunnel, which communicates progress. That yes, we are not having a situation in history where we are discussing about the reserved seats for women. That is progress. And even if it does not lead to a complete overhaul of what it is still a step in the right direction. But as we work towards that, women, we must understand politics in the way politics has been. And then we must now reflect on what we want politics to be according to women. I know why I'm saying that. According to women, not according to the playbook that we have learned, that we see or that we have learned from. There is a woman who is leading Tanzania, and there is a woman who is leading Namibia. One of them is a good example, and another one is not a good example. That shows humanity. It is not a gender thing. So women in Nigeria, when we have gotten that opportunity to have a field that is fast for us, we will study the past, and then we will now include or come together and decide what we want as the present and the future. Why? Because we are equipped as women naturally to know the appropriate things to do. We have raised men. Yes, I'm speaking for generally. We have raised men, we have raised women who have become great people in the society. If we can do that, I believe that women and even the youth, we can also lead Nigeria, and we'll lead Nigeria out of what we are seeing as the era in history. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. For every profession, you need to learn the role. You don't wake up in the morning and start to work. That is why there's a provision for the crawling and all of that. I also don't want to agree that you need to hold a hand. Everyone needs a mentor. You need a role model. Even the Tony Aneni, now late of this world, had a role model. Somebody held his hand. Someone must hold someone's hand. When you make it look as if it's a youth thing, you actually undermine the youth. Everybody in the media profession, you need someone to follow. It doesn't literally mean holding of hand physically.
Would you call what happens in the Nigerian political space mentorship? Is that how you would describe it? Is it mentorship?
So you see the thing. For many years, I worked to develop or to support political party systems, and actually help to build institutions within political party. And to tell you the truth, people don't like the word when I say carry people's bag. Carry people's bag. I carry somebody's bag to enter certain meetings. That bag I carried was what gave me access to that meeting. If I didn't carry that bag, I won't have access to that meeting. So you want to become big immediately? No! You have to serve. Service is the greatest way to get to the top. It may look weird in the Nigerian system because we always talk about the Nigerianness. That in political party system, maybe just to quickly say, they're not young to run, produce results. We are the speaker, a very first young speaker in Oyo State, the young to run to run. There are many things, it may not produce very magnificent things, but it opens up spaces. And when Asha was talking about the woman who scored one vote, scored one vote, right?
Yeah,
Sarah Jibri. I was laughing because I followed that process.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is that Sarah Jibri was not even a delegate in that election. Somebody actually gave that vote, whether it was manipulated or otherwise. So when you want to go into political participation, understand that there are what they call delegates. Delegate is not, you don't capture delegates after the fact. You create delegates to make sure that these are the people to vote for you. You don't now get to the point of elections at the party primary level and now suddenly realize that there are delegates. You start going for the delegate. When someone formed a delegate to a June office, you have to start from the process. So when you lose in that primary election, please shut up. It's a political system. It requires knowledge. And most of the time, we use English and not knowledge. And I think it's important as young people, as women, and that's why I like the reserve seat bill. It's almost like a closed system where barrier to entry are been set by those oligarchy, but there are some young people who create certain other barrier, who create barrier for others to enter. Man, I don't want to be to enter a game of blame, this blame game. What I'm saying is that if you want to contest an election, identify a political party. Join that party. Participate in that party. Pay your dues. Get to grow in that party. It may take you 10 years. Don't wake up because you join party today, you want to become minister tomorrow, or you want to become an appointee tomorrow. No.
Would you still be a young person by the time you finish this type of...
I'm sure when you join the media space, you were given a microphone immediately once. You need to grow. So that when people jump into a system and want to be immediately, it's an error. I am saying, if I have to go into politics today, and maybe although I'm no longer a young person, in Nigeria I'm a young person anyway.
Yeah.
So when you join, that's why I talk about mentorship. So if I decide, at some point, I was actually called in at some point, to say, you have to go to the Assembly. I said, no, I don't want to. Because of service, I have contributed to building a system. How many party agent role have you played? Do you also need to carry your hand to be party agent? How many campaign effort have you made for someone? There's a young lady during the election of 2023 actually helped to develop campaign materials and campaign tools for a female candidate. When she won, they picked her as a special assistant. Gradually, you start to go into the system. You hadn't contributed. You hadn't even done a tweet, an X message to support a candidate. Suddenly, you want to be the one that should be celebrated.
So listen, you cannot even say your mind. You cannot speak the way you want to. You see things, you can't even address it so that you don't offend that person that brought you to that seat. And when they are being carried to that particular seat, they start telling them, this percentage is my own. So at the end of the day, the person cannot function well because you want to settle the person, you want to settle Nigeria, you want to settle yourself. So if you're going for any post, when you have passion to serve your country, you will see that Nigeria will be a better place. Like that thing that happened between our minister and that Navy person. You will see that the boy is speaking from passion of serving his country. You understand? He's not scared of anything. He wants to see the good of this country. So if people will come out to serve Nigeria with passion, you see we'll have a renewed hope. And everything will start. Let's crash the system of Godfather, God in hand. Please help me to attend this. See, please do that. That's why you see, the corruption cannot end. They cannot do anything good for this country without changing those things. Then another thing I want to say for this program, please let's make more awareness. This is an interesting program. So many people are not even aware. You understand? By the time people are aware of this thing, you see people will start joining. And there are people that don't even know how to go about it. But because of this little program today, I know what is in my head. I think my head wants to blow.
Fantastic. Fantastic. I think we deserve a round of applause. Thank you.
So when you ask that question, it depends on good for what. Is it what is good for you as an individual or what's good for the nation? For you as an individual, what you said, that's the pragmatic answer. Get someone, get you in there, follow the rules, they job, you ask how high. You understand? But if you want for what's good for the nation, then it's better you disrupt your way and go in there. And this disruption is not the candidate that is going to be. This is the mistake we are making. We expect the candidates to be the ones to bring their money, to be the ones to do everything. Even when pre-election, during election, post-election, you're expected to use your own personal money. If you use your personal money, it's no longer politics. It's no longer election, it's business. So when you get in there, you're going to get in your vote. So what must happen is that citizens must take responsibility for those who are going into office. Until and unless they do that, the political class will continue to perpetuate themselves into office or their students with the money they have voted for money.
Because we have raised a value system that is based on economy. That is the problem we have right now. Everybody is looking for one thing, money. But then again, I remember that in 2022 election, there were some people in the past that got their votes for the people because of what they were doing to their immediate society. You see, Nigerians from community development of us, we haven't had this thing of getting up there fast. But we have problems every day within our community. How many times have you galvanized to go and fill up that pothole by disrupting the movement of the market? How much things are you doing with big or immediate advantage? That people are going to say, it's your good that doing this thing. We must go for them. We see that happen. But half the times we know it's easier when they carry your hand there. But let me tell you the truth. The guy that's holding your hand has a mission. Now, like I just said, there won't be disruption. But I believe that if you begin to look within our immediate environment and begin to solve immediate problems, people within your neighborhood begin to say, this guy is good, 100%. It's not totally fair.
Thank you.
Primary election will start mid next year. So we are less than 10 months to the election of the next general election.
How ready are the youth? Finally.
I'm not talking about how ready. It's about how what they must do. They must all get ready. It's about how ready we are ready on social media. But in the field, in community where we're going to be ready, I'm not so sure if we are ready. In terms of being, as someone has said, being a member of a political party, not because we want to run for election, but we are conscious and sure of the fact that as a member of a political party, there are a lot of things we need to do. We all cannot run in 2027, but we can run in being active members, in pushing for the ideals of the party, the manifesto of the party, raising money. Who really sponsors or funds 2027 general election? That's a very fundamental question. Who sponsors and who funds the election? So young persons must need to see how best to galvanize ourselves. Leverage on our numbers, leverage on what we know best to stay, and how best we can, disrupt if we want to disrupt. But the most important thing for young persons, please, I don't know who said it, know themselves. Know the community where you are in. Know the context you are in. You have to understand there are two things involved in it. Politics and government. For you to govern, there is winnability and there is also electability. You can't avoid those two things. So please ensure that you do not stay on social media saying abusing APC or PDP or APC. Go into one of those vehicles. They are vehicles. The driver is going to be wrong. But the seats felt to be one of those vehicles, they are the one to wear it. And if the car is dirty, you clean it up and say this is the make of this car. And it's going to drive us to a Nigerian that works for all Nigerians. If we can't do it, we convene on the best way to do it is to understand that either we decide someone to go down, either we decide to disrupt the system, we must be involved in it, actively involved in it. Thank you.
Very good at identifying problems. You know your culture, you know what it is. Now, I think we need to move into solution-based medicine. And that will mean everyone must have to start studying. Now, I will start out to take on somebody while we are studying with me. One of the things that really important on the side of citizens and the government. When sometimes always relies on Nigerian that are cheating. But how? I will start out to actually study how. If we don't do that, how are we going to protect it for 7 years? Well, we don't know how we are. So it's a collective responsibility. Now in the time, we shouldn't just only reach and talk about change. We should demand change. We should be the change. And I keep saying this, if you don't understand what you're about to change, you change it. If we are not more, if we're not more resolved to effect change, then when these little battles come, like some people are already giving up on all the governments are effective, so what's the point? They are going to count, they will count our votes. There is no democracy in the world today that people need to stand up and develop strong. I mean, some give their life for democracy. This is what we're talking about. People give their life. But we just want to say that, I mean, as a politician, people have come to me and said, no, this is my vote, I say, I'm buying my vote. We need to begin to talk about citizens and accountability. Please, we need to go beyond ethnicity, religion. We need to now build something. Nigeria first. We have seen now that the same fixed ticket did not make the prices of stuff better. Nigerians should begin to talk Nigerians. And it's your job, it's my job, it's everybody's job. If you see somebody getting weak, raise the man up. You know what? Opposition and the protection of democracy is the job of every person that is in opposition, dealing with the PDP. So whatever it is, whether you are, it's all our collective job to protect this democracy. Because without democracy, there's no society, there's no better world. Thank you. Thank you.
Leadership is responsibility. Go to technology, go to fintech, creative environment. Women and youth are successful. The peculiarity with leadership in the political system is because power is involved. Power is not dished. That will make me to have a meeting point with my guy here that there is a system and there is a process. Believe me, this has always been my point, and young people do not want, they get irritated by this reality.
By the system.
Maybe by the system or the fact that there is a process. Are you getting it? Which we have to pass through. In 2015, I contested with the chairman under Labour Party. When Labour Party was not popular at first, we used to call it Egbeolomo Kolongo, Iya Baba, and the baby. That's the logo of the party. We moved on. In 2019, I contested under the platform of ADC for your state House of Assembly. I did not win, but lessons were learned. And then, when I became the chairman of my local government in 2019, it was under the platform of PDP. I rose and I did some other things. I was personal assistant to the deputy governor of your state. But today I am a member of APC. Each point of this hall, you meet experiences, you meet mentorship, you meet challenges. We have not got to where we are going to. But that will not pass through these processes. But my own dilemma is that I think we should use whatever established process that is on ground to drive change. If we are going to go alone, like my brother is suggesting, or the question as to whether we should help in hand or we should go alone, we'll get to destination. But if you move alone, the journey will be turbulent and will be difficult. So therefore, let us gather all the requirements and the evidence that we need to be sufficient to drive change, even within the toxic system that is already on ground. And that is my own approach to what I see to the Nigerian system. Having said that, there's a danger in it. There's a patriarchal system that's already setting in the oligarchy system that we're addressing. Look at it very well in your constituency, in your state, whether your governor, his son has not been brought up, whether your senator, you follow it. That is the dangerous dimension towards that. But three things will save us. If you want to drive change and you are not the son of a gatekeeper, then hold these three things. One, come with value, which I think is the most difficult, but is the most possible. Look for knowledge, pay your dues. The second one is become a money bag. If you have the money, well, so be it. But I know if you are coming with values that I believe everyone here is qualified, building a brand and a niche for ourselves, and that's what we should do. Thank you.
Now, we don't have, another one is the finance. Most of us are just starters, we are just coming up, the economy is not good. Then the little you have, we expect it to bring it into policy, you have to buy people, you have to, a lot, you need to spend much money. So we are appealing, going into 2027 election, we are appealing to the APC government. They have done it in 2019. We want them to do more. They slice the price of nomination forms. So this time around in 2023, we want them to do more, slice it down more, bring it down so that the youth can have money, to purchase the nomination form and interest form to participate in this coming election. So we are appealing to Mr. President to please kindly grant us the youth this request, so that let him slide the price of the nomination form and interest form for us. We the youth. Thank you.
About the progress we've made. I think it's impossible to make further progress if we're not slowing down to reflect on the progress we've already made. Reflecting on the progress you've made gives you the opportunity to know what it is that you've done right, and knowing what it is that you've done right is a good way to harmonize on what you've done right, to build upon it. And then it's also very important to take responsibility. We have to take responsibility. Everyone has said it again, that there's just more responsibility to be taken. And what's the responsibility that we can take as youth, and how are we very clear about it? I think it's very important that we are aware of the context we're existing in, and they will not be idealistic, they will actually be realistic, but being realistic without losing our morality. Because I think that is very important. Once you are taking responsibility for doing that, then we will find that we will find more progress. There's already in progress, but they can be a lot more progress. They can be a lot more actual action. And not just action, but action that is taking full responsibility for. So I think by the time as youth and as women we slow down more, we give more gratitude, and we take more responsibility, we're going to find that we'll have a different election.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
What is no leader?
There's no leader.
Yes. Every guy think there must be a leader. Even in our religious groups we have, whether Muslim or Christianity.
So it's about coordination.
Yes. Yes. When we're talking about the special bill for women, I noticed most of the women, if not all of them, spoke about it's like a women thing. It's not a women thing, it's a Nigerian thing. Okay. You understand? And that's where the men are always having that edge over the women. Because whenever we're going out for something, we know the women are the real voters. We know women are the real pillars. We go to them, we love them. When they have our agendas with us, then we'll go and we love them. But when women are doing that, they see it as a feminine thing. No, they see it as a feminine thing. Okay. And they do it their own way.
Good afternoon, sir. In 2007, PDP had almost 30 states. It didn't mean they were not taking on when people wanted to do that. And I see people who, because they belong to a particular political party, or they are affiliated with some people, they think they are on the table. You are not on the table, bro. My brother, you are the menu on the table. These people don't care. And I want to say to everyone here that Nigeria belongs to every one of us. And this country, we will fight for it. And as we go into 2027, we must look at an election as we are fighting for our life. Because indeed, politics affect all our lives. Now, for those of us who are citizens, there are four things. It has to be political activism. And in this political activism, one, if you have the competence, character, capacity to run for office. Two, campaign for people who have competence, character, capacity, running for office. If you can run for office. Three, help them to raise money. We must put our monies where our votes are. And four, demand from those who have been voted into office. If you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. Either way, you're right. That was what Henry Ford said. And this is the time for every one of us to know that we're right. Nobody owns this country. There are some people who think because today they are in certain political space that they own the country. Once upon a time, they were not there. And it was the people who decided that enough was enough, that made it enough is enough. And I tell you, you are not powerless. You are powerful. And as we go into the 2027 election and we decide that no man, born of woman, or anything will rig an election.
It's been such a day filled with insightful conversations by youth, women, development experts, and stakeholders alike, all calling for one thing: the deliberate inclusion of women and youth in the Nigerian political space. The development of this country, Nigeria, can be largely influenced by the increased participation of youths and women in Nigerian politics. Unite Naija will be in your screens again soon enough. I want to thank the Click Naija crew for the tireless work they have put into making this edition a success. And of course, the entire management of Radio Nigeria. Till next time, my name is Ehi Okiani. Bye.